All right, Lofty fans, this is Len Nevin with Elite Blueprint. I want to talk about some of the changes that have come out with the new kind of layout of where the people are, your segments, all that stuff. So let's dive into it. I'm actually a big fan of what I'm seeing, so I kind of just want to go over. I did a video a couple weeks ago about how to use your segments properly, and obviously now we can take that video, crumple it up, throw it away. So we're going to go over what we're doing now. And this is after just 24 hours, so I may change this in a week or two, and I'll just do a new video. No big deal. So let's dive into it. Log into your Lofty. First thing you want to do is obviously, clear task, blah, blah, blah. Got some stuff to do. Anyways, go into your people, right? So all of your people are in here, and the biggest change that I see now is that everything now is on the right side as far as my filtering, whereas it used to be on the left side. You used to have on the top here, you'd have your segments, and then you'd have kind of like your pipeline. That's still across the board here. These are your pipelines, so that hasn't changed. But your filters are now also right here. So you could create a filter and save it. Now they're calling them views. So that's where when you see your, let me move this over here. When you see, you can do your filters here, and then when you save it, it's called create view. And so that's these views, right? And so these are some quick ways to do what you're wanting to do. And I'll just kind of explain to you what I mean here in a minute. So that's your people view. My biggest philosophy is that you should have 0 people in your new leads category at all times. If there's people in your new leads, that means you haven't contacted them. That means you haven't called them. It means you haven't reached out to them. So clear that out. So I pat myself on the back, right? I did my job for that day, for today. On this one here, what are my filters? My filters right now, they change. You can see as I move from outbound, it changes to outbound. So I can save these views based off of which category I want to look at. But for this instance, I'm just going to clear out of that and not do that. So that's your people. That nothing really has changed much as far as that goes. Like I said, if you've got some filters put before, if you were doing the filters and you were saving those still exist. These are all inside of here. What I like about this new layout is the ones you're going to use more often, you can tag and you can put up here, right? And I'll show you how to do that in a second. The other big thing now is you have a drop down for segments. So instead of the segments being in there as additional filter, now you can do a snapshot. And so in this snapshot, I can look at this and go, holy cow, where's all my opportunity, right? So as I look through here, I go, okay, in my super hot, so this is how I have mine laid out. I've got 14, so let's start here. I've got 14 people who have responded to me, but I haven't done anything with it, right? So I need to click on this, and now I have 14 people that I can go through. Now these are the team, right? So let me take that one step back further and go, okay, well inside of here, if that's my team, this isn't necessarily just me. Well, what I need to do is I need to click, and you'll see why I like the filters here in a minute, but this is a great snapshot for the team, right? As a team owner, boom, I can look at this, I can see who who needs to do what needs to happen, and I can see where the opportunities are. And right now I'm seeing some big opportunities and, lack of response, and then I can click on this and I can see who needs to do it. Now I can take this one step further and say which ones are mine, and I can just click on me, and I can see I'm doing a good job. So that's that. Now I can just click on the next one, right? And so this is what's cool about it. So if you're working your way through your segments, and so I have mine ordered, so I want to do my super hots first, and once I'm done with my super hots, I want to move on to my waiting for pre-qual, so I can go through these. Then I can go to my my hots, and then I can go to my warms. And so this gives me really great way to work through and do some workflow through these names as I'm going through, segment by segment. Now, the other part of it too is when I look at my segments, I can see I've got different pipelines, right? So in this 21 days, now let me just pull and just look at mine because I'm seeing some coaching opportunities here. So as a team lead, great coaching opportunity. I would never have anybody in a segment, at least these, hot, cold, warm, unless they were active, which means we've communicated, right? I can see that we're doing stuff. So I can go through here and I can look. You can see most of mine are active, and this one's a closed lead. That's a past client though, who's active again. So that's why that shows closed. Maybe I should move it to active. I don't know. That's probably a good idea, right? So that being said, let's just close that real quick and open up the screen a little bit, move this over. You can see that these are all now mine, right? And inside of this, I want to make sure that I'm just looking at my active leads. So you saw that I had to do a couple different filters in order to get, and you can see when I go next, right? So let's go to the warm. And once again, I've got to start all over. I got to go to my filter, agent. And so this is where it's a pain in the butt, right? I gotta refilter it, especially if you're a team lead. Now, if it's just you and you're on your own account, this isn't going to matter to you. This isn't going to show up. But now I've got, okay, all my warms show it up here. I've got, these are the ones that are due, or these are actually, so, because I clicked on the red, these are the ones that are due, but I want to make sure. So inside of this filter, I love this. Under here, there's this thing called reminder period expired, and I want to put yes. And so now it's for sure only showing me the ones that are past due. So there's me. There's, I'm inside of, if I look at my filters, I'm inside of that segment, and I'm inside of warm 14 days. But I'm not seeing here where I can save this, because guess what's missing is segment. So think about it this way, is as I'm working through these, I need some shortcuts. This becomes more, like I said, of a way to kind of like work through it, or almost a reporting thing. So if I go back to just the normal people, let me just do that, right? So this is kind of what I discovered. So just kind of showing you the ropes. Now let's talk practicality, right? So now in all my leads, I'm looking at actives, right? So for me, these actives, I mark people active if they've communicated with me, if I've reached out and they've responded. So these are all responsive leads, right? I've got hundreds of them, 622. But which ones are marked as people who are warm? So what's great about from the people section, now look what I have the opportunity to do, segments. And so now I can say, show me all the segments that are warm and that the reminder period is expired. So now I have a list here of 64 now, right, that pop up. These are all warm leads that have said they're going to be doing something here, and I need to be reaching out to them at least every couple weeks. And they're in the segment for every 14-day follow-up. They haven't been reached in the last 14 days. Guess what I can do? I can hit create view, and I can just say warm leads. That's it. Or maybe I just call it warm because I'm trying to be cognizant of my real estate. So confirm, and then look what happens. Boom. I've got this up here, right here, and I can move it here. So now if I'm trying to move from my segments, I can just stay inside of my people. I can sit super hot. Boom. There's my filter. Hot. Boom, there's my filter. So what I've done is I've taken a combination of the segments that we've already been using, but now moving through them quicker than I was before, because I used to have to click over here, go to the segment, click on the red. Now I can just do it with a click of a button, right? So this is where I'm saying I find this way easier than it was before. Now, from an owner's perspective, even if I'm just checking myself, right? I want to go in here and I want to hit my segments because it's got a couple of different things that are in here. So if I'm looking at, let's just look at my super hot list, right? So I got 17 expired, 10 regular. I can look at some performance, and this is everybody. So performance-wise, I can see how are these things doing? What does that one say? Requested showing. So I got one of these leads has requested a showing. So I want to be able to go on this and click and say, which lead was it? Okay, that was my lead. I'm communicating with them. Boom. From a perspective of, there's this concept of no lead left behind. This is allowing me to do that. This is allowing me to go through and see some reporting that maybe I missed. So let's look on my hot list, bigger list. What's my performance here? How are they doing? Well, they're opening stuff. I can see activity. There's 12 leads that have viewed properties, 13 have searched, 2 saved properties, and I can click on these and I can see who these people are. And so it allows me to, one of the questions, and I can scroll down here, I can see the activity. One of the questions I was asked at a class that I was teaching recently is, how do I know who's raising their hand inside of my things, right? So I always look at it and go, if it's the first of the month and we're early in the month, right? So if I go to my hot list, for instance, I go back to that and I go to my super hot list and I go, okay, who's raised their hands? Well, I have all these people in here. 2 people have saved leads. So instead of trying to call, and you saw it was like 17 that were past due and 10 that were in compliance. But if I'm looking at that and going, how do I can either look through 27 leads to see who's raised their hand, or I can just click on this too, and I can reach out to these 2 people because they have saved properties. And look, their lead scores reflect it. So it's giving me that opportunity to, really just dive into who I'm working with and pinpoint people a lot quicker. So the segments, this is just kind of a quick overview, like I said, but if I'm going to go, so for the next 30 seconds, or let's just say the next 1 minute, I'm going to go and say, okay, what are your best practices? How do I use my segments? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to go back to my people, and then I'm going to go back to my segments. Let's see. And I'm going to look and say, what do I want my segments to be? And I think that, I used to tag these things used to be tags. They used to be, campaigns. I'm looking at this going, no, Bob and Mary Smith. So you always boil down to a single person, right? Bob and Mary Smith have reached out to me. They need to buy a house in the next 6 to 9 months. And so I put their information. I go every 6 to 9 months. I don't need to reach out to them every 2 days. So I don't need to put them in the super hot category. I don't even really need to reach out to them once a month. I could probably get away with every 3 weeks. But maybe because I'm trying to build this relationship up front, I'm going to actually drop them into this hot category, knowing that they're 6 to 9 months out. Make sure I get established with them, and then I'm going to move them into 14 days later and slow it down once I know they're kind of established and they're looking at stuff and, we've kind of built a pattern. And then I'm just reaching out every couple of weeks or even every 3 weeks. And so I'm making those decisions. And so that's how I work inside of segments. And so if I'm looking at what's my day look like, my day is this. First thing I do, log in, look at my tasks. I want to clear these out. Now, these are marketing tasks that I've created inside the system for me. So I'll do those. Boom, click, 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 do my thing, right? Next, I'm going to go to people. I'm going to look at my new category. Who do I have in there? Nobody. Awesome. Or if I had people, I'm going to parse those out. I'm going to put them where they're supposed to be. I'm going to call them. I'm going to text them. I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. And then I'm going to move into my segments. That's the next part of my day. And so in the next part of my segments, I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at this and just do a quick report and say what needs my biggest attention. And for me, because I've created these shortcuts, I'm going to go back into my people and say, I'm going to hit my segments of super hot, work this until it hits 0, work this until it hits 0, work this until it hits 0, and I'll add the cold and all that other stuff and say, okay, cool. So those are good. Then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to look and say, what are my opportunities? And I can just kind of take a look and say, wow, this person has saved 4 listings in 48 minutes ago, 48 minutes ago. So in the last hour, this person has saved 4 properties. I'm going to go take a look at that. They looked at this property, didn't save it. So this can tell me a lot about this person's search. I can say, okay, they didn't like this one, but they liked these 4. I'm just going to go through here and I look and see, okay, what's going on? And now I've got a good idea. Cool. Next to this. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to read through these. These are just some simple, new leads. Anybody tagging me? Nope, no communications. Here's some information. These are text messages that came in. So I can read those if I want. Any showing requests? No, we're good. Any transactions? Yes, we've got this new one here, so I can look at these and I'm like, okay, good. Any tasks? I've already done tasks, so I can skip that. Who's AI talking to? Here we go. So 4 days ago, I've probably already taken care of this. Maybe once I've taken care of it, I clear it, right? That would be a good way. So that way I'm looking at this and that's how I know, okay, this person said stop. Great, next. This person said I'm planning to move in the next couple of weeks. Huh, I should probably look at that. So how did I miss that? Probably because I wasn't doing this a couple days ago. So this person, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to follow up with them and do my thing. Back to here, and I'm going to go to actions. This is just shows me my imports. So this one's kind of a useless one in my opinion. Others, this just shows me new listings added. So I'm good here, right? And so now I'm going to go over here, and then I'm just going to go through my, read through my lead responses, read through all these. I call this the circle of success, right? So I start here, I work my way around, and I come back down here, and then I just end up right back into my people. And I've cleaned up my database. I've worked my database for the day. I call it the circle of success. So that's how I'm using segments. Those are my follow-ups. My tasks are clerical, as you saw. My follow-ups are segments. Reach out if you have any questions. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions on how I set this up, if you need me to set it up for you, I can do that. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I run a large team. So I do have, some services I offer for a fee. I can set all this stuff up for you the way we have it and duplicate it for you. I'd be happy to send you that, the pricing information on that. But yeah, reach out if you have any questions. Mastermind, show me what you're doing. I'd love to see how you're taking what we're doing and maybe making it better, saying, oh, wow, that was great. We'd happy to hear from you. Talk to you soon.